Hello, Hojoz here, and welcome back to Forza Horizon 4, where today we have an S1 class PI 900 Renault 5 Turbo Forza Edition going around a circuit I made on Arthur Seat Cross Country, which I named Arthur Seat Rally Stage. It is 6.9 kilometers long, and my fastest lap round there is a 3 minute 23 0.010. There's 6 laps. And we will be taking this Renault out today on a track with a Michelin livery. Where I had some commentary on for the use of black lettering. Anyway, as the engine revs, we have 10 seconds to go, 5 now, until we start the track. And there we go, the first lap of 6. You take off and immediately get to a hard point here, braking for a slalom, kinda chicane, as we brake here for another turn. Yeah, you really have to brake for that one. And it's pretty much flat out until this turn right here, where you have to brake a bit, and you'll see that my car brakes out frequently, has a lot of drifting going on, and that's what I like about this car. This car has been my favorite car for a fair few months as we make it around the hairpin, using a little bit of handbrake. Another slight bit of braking as we enter the corner to the left side of the sign. A little bit of braking here. You can really misjudge that corner right there, heading onto a very fast braking zone, a very long braking zone, otherwise you shoot off into the distance at this part here. One of the fun parts of the track comes right here, another hairpin. I make it a little bit late there at my handbrake turn, but on this first lap I basically did an exploratory run, as I haven't run this track in quite a while. Going on to the jump there, getting a little bit of getting the car on the right side to make sure that you don't miss the corner. We're heading on to another braking zone here, a right turn, very slow right turn, followed by a very slow left turn, going into another left turn onto a very tight part of the track. Braking, it is very treacherous, this part of the track. I have had a fair few number of wall hits and flying off the course on this part of the track. If you don't get that braking zone right, you fly right off. And if I am not mistaken, here the bump on the left side, all the way to the left side on the track, if you hit that, you're not gonna brake in time with this Renault 5 Turbo. Braking here. Actually, what I remember now is it's actually PI 883 with an all-wheel drive engine swap, an all-wheel drive drivetrain swap, I'm sorry, as we round the pool right here. And it has rally tires, rally suspension fitted, which dropped it from the 900 PI the usual Renault 5 Turbo starts off with. Here encountering a little bit of traffic, the latter part of the main guys, which we have of course let go by a minute. We have a gap to them by a minute. Going into the city stage for the latter part of the lap. A little bit wide on that corner. I found it quite a hard corner to get right, but then again I found this track to be quite hard for me. Again, a long braking zone, getting into a left 90-degree corner, and coming up here is another left 90-degree corner, followed by a right corner, and then a final left 90-degree to go back onto the start-finish straight and start lap number 2. More about the build then. It is pretty much the stock Renault 5 Turbo, but as I said, I have all-wheel drive swapped it. Put rally tires on and put rally suspension on. Besides that, I can't remember any significant upgrades or downgrades on the car, but it meant that without an engine swap, which I'm using the stock engine because I think it sounds great, gets to a maximum PI of 883, which is quite sad. I also wanted to keep the body modifications which the stock Renault 5 Turbo FE came with, because again, thought it looked good. And all in all, it made for a quite oversteery car. But then again, I very much like the oversteer in this car, and oversteer in general while rallying. A little bit of an early handbrake turn here, having learned from my lap 1 mistake. It could be a bit better, but it was a nice corner. Here again, going nearly flat out, nearly losing the car. Yeah, as I said, quite an oversteery car, and you can only imagine how oversteery this car would be if it had rear-wheel drive, which the stock Renault 5 Turbo Forza Edition comes with. Yeah, when I drove that car, I didn't really like it. Anyway, as you might have noticed, those were the first frame drops of this entire driving session. Because now that I'm recording with NVIDIA GeForce, recording NVIDIA Shadowplay, recording software for Forza Horizon 4 only. Kerbal Space Program will still be filmed with OBS. I've managed to get the FPS up and the screen freezes down. That's great, but the only downside to it is that I'm playing in 1280 times 720p resolution here, which means that rendering this video in 1080p pretty much useless. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the car itself. As I said, quite an oversteery car. Drives well though on the dirt. And because of the oversteer, it's been my favorite car, nearly missing all those cars here. I've had to go through quite a few rewinds to make sure that I avoided those cars, since otherwise I would collide with them and it wouldn't really make for a great video. Which, if you're new to the channel, yes, I use rewinds for these videos, but I am getting to a point where I have to use very few or no rewinds to make it round the course without like hitting a wall really hard or something that makes me stop, or missing a checkpoint or whatever, or hitting another car causing me to stop. Whatever it was that I encountered previously that I had to use rewinds for, I've pretty much solved. I do make mistakes still, and that's pretty much why I still use rewinds for videos. But apart from that, I can get off like a 20-minute race like this with maximum of 5 rewinds. Okay, this is a really hard track, so rewinds, I would have to use a lot of rewinds for this track, especially because of that bump on the narrow section on the left side. I tend to hit that, I tend to end up quite wide on that corner. Well, quite much to the inside because it's a left corner. And apart from that, that braking zone that I mentioned, that if you don't brake for, you go off the hill, that has also caught me out a few times, as well as the slow chicane coming up the hill. Anyway, having mentioned all that, if you've seen the first video, as I make quite the drift here, as you've seen, if you've seen the first video that I made with the Mini Cooper S in A-Class, going around a rallycar circuit, it might have occurred to you that in the first segment I mentioned using traction control. Since then, I've turned it off. Between the last video that I recorded on Forza Horizon 4 and this video, I've turned off traction control and I've managed quite well without it, apart from a few other cars, for example the Auto Union Type D. But then again, you're mentioning quite the car there, as I narrowly avoid that Ford RS200. Yeah, you're mentioning quite the car there, since Uh, oh my god, I just lost my train of thought. So yeah, let's skip that. Damn, Ford RS200 interrupting my train of thought. Anyway, yeah, no traction control that I'm using. So yeah, the Auto Union again. I now remember my train of thought. The Auto Union Type D. You have to use some throttle control there, which I'm not used to. I normally just jam down the throttle and jam on the brakes, and that's pretty much how I drive, which is why any of the oversteery cars in nature will be driven with maximum oversteer on this channel. Again, having to dodge all those cars, that Lancia 037 with Momo livery, like second or third place, I bumped that, which is quite unfortunate, but you can't do anything about that really. As we're nearly on to lap 4 already. Which reminds me, I should probably start talking about livery, which it took me quite a while, 11 hours, to put together, mainly because I had to trace the logos in order to be able to share it. Which you can search up the livery, the tune, and the track simply by googling my Xbox gamertag, or rather searching up my Xbox gamertag, which is Leon Hojoz. You could also download the tune. I probably mentioned that already, but I'm not sure about it. Anyway, I had to trace the Michelin livery, or sorry, the Michelin logo, which Bibendum took up quite a lot of that time, and eventually I just rage quitted on it, since yeah, Bibendum was quite a hard part of the Michelin logo to get right. So I basically am running without Bibendum on the Michelin logo, which is the main sponsor of this livery. Apart from that, we also have ELF for our fuel supplies, PFC for the brakes, not the fighter tournament hosted by John Roger Aerospace, the space program, and of course I'm sponsoring myself, and Renault is also sponsoring me, because well, you're driving a Renault 5 Turbo, why wouldn't Renault support you? We also have support from Microsoft, because we are playing a Microsoft game on the Microsoft computer. Yes, I'm playing Forza Horizon 4 on PC, if you haven't noticed that already. And the final sponsor, I believe, is Hella for the lights. Of course, in rallying, lights are very important, and thus I chose to put them on the livery as well. And apart from that, we have a normal livery, which does not include any of the HojozVideos logos or the Dutch flag on the roof. And then we have the HojozVideos version, which is only available to me, which I only make because I can then self-advertise in any races I participate in with the car. And that's why I pretty much run all HojozVideos liveries to advertise my own channel. That shouldn't really surprise you. But yeah, that is pretty much it. As you catch up to another Ford RS200. That is pretty much it for the commentary. Excuse the engine noise, by the way. I don't know why, but the engine noise constantly makes it seem like it's in first gear. We are finally narrowly avoiding the cars there on the fourth lap. Nearly running into an Opel Manta 400, which thankfully ghosted in time. I think we're around about place 8, place 9 now. So I will transition back into providing commentary on the track and on overtakes, since I've pretty much mentioned everything that I wanted to mention about this car, which has been my favorite for quite a few months. Since then, I have switched my favorite car to the Hoonigan RS200, which I will do a video on soon, as we enter the penultimate lap already. It's been quite a journey as we pass that Ford RS200. Quite a few Ford RS200s in this race apparently. And apart from that Manta and the Lancia 037, I don't think there's much variety in this field. Which, by the way, I have made this race specifically on a Group B configuration, since well the Renault 5 Turbo drove in Group B, and at the time of making the track I was quite fascinated with Group B. Making the track, I made this track like half a year ago already. Time flies really, and pretty much took me 6 months to get that lag issue figured out for Forza Horizon 4. In the meantime, I didn't want to make any videos because obviously video quality would suffer. Exploring the track limits right there for that hairpin. Basically running down all the bushes, and if there were any spectators there, spectators would have probably been run over and wounded. Which, not very Group B of you, Hojoz. Yeah, I know. Group B, of course, having the spectators quite close to the track. Anyway, entering this chicane near the urban area to transition on the very, very tight part of the track. Very hard part of the track as well, which is one of the reasons why I wouldn't recommend to drive this track with friends. As you see that jump there, if I go too much on the right on the final part of that chicane, I hit the wall on the left side and pretty much am done for. Yeah, they're quite on the inside of the corner, not hitting any of the fences. Cornering this part, quite a good corner there, which I have noticed my driving abilities have gone up in the past few months, have gone up significantly, which I am quite thankful for, which I'm quite happy with, since that means that I'm one step closer to participating in any community events in, for example, fail race streams, or hosting my own community events, or for that matter, entering ranked in Forza Horizon 4. I mean, online race in Forza Horizon 4 can be quite cool, but generally it's just people ramming you off, and I am ashamed to say that I'm sometimes part of those people that ram you off. Such is my driving ability and overtaking ability. Although I have noticed again that in the most recent online events that I've participated in, mainly through the Forza Fun playlist, I've been quite good at overtaking stuff like that as we pass the the Ford RS200 and the Opel Manta 400 for the final lap in this race, which was probably my fastest. Of course, in the final lap you want to extract everything out of the car, and that is something I'm quite proud of, by the way. Starting off slowly and then ending off fast is usually how all professional racing drivers do it. Qualifying, practice, whatever. You always start off slow and end up fast, which I mean, to me, is a sign of a good racing driver. So again, as I said, my my driving abilities have improved. Again, this very long braking zone, I've got this wrong quite a few times, and the checkpoints are in a place that you can basically just skip that very long break if you don't want to stay on the track and want to run a fast lap. But if you don't want to run a fast lap and would rather feel like respecting the gravel which has been laid out for you, I would recommend braking there. Again the chicane, and again going on to the tight part of the course, as again we are nearing the end of the video. it has been quite a fun time driving this car. And for the next Forza Horizon 4 video, I'll be featuring a Renault, not a Renault, I know, Renault Clio Forza Edition, which has been all-wheel drive swapped into S1 class as well. But that is a track car and not a rally car like this Renault 5 Forza Edition. I really just love the car, I love the livery. Perhaps I should have put more logos on it, which is one of the commentaries I received when I posted this livery in the Fail Race Discord. And honestly, I agree. Having assembled a livery for the Renault Clio V6, which is basically this livery but with more sponsors, it looks better, and thus I can only give them I can only say that they were right, and I should have put more logos. Anyway, we are around about 40 seconds till the end of the video, so I will say that I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you liked it, I hope you give it a like too. And if you liked it a lot, and if you like KSP competitions as well, I suggest you subscribe, as my goal is pretty much to end with 100 subscribers at the end of 2020. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you'll be sharing around this video. And here's Bureaucratic with Boys Bob.